Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another webinar with us. My name is Shayna. I am the Managing Director here at Host Agency Reviews. I am very excited to welcome our next, I say webinar, but more of a panel host, Emily Speers from Levarte Travel. I'm sure you all know Levarte well. We always have Lori on our Friday 15s, which is our Friday weekly podcast. So Emily and the team will be presenting on the W.T.F for group travel. By WTF, I mean where to focus. So the members, everybody here, which everyone will introduce themselves once I jump off screen, will address a range of questions to help other travel advisors grow their travel business through group bookings. So today's themes will revolve around how to get started with booking groups for your business. If you have one piece of advice for someone doing their first group, what would that be? Have you planned groups with other travel advisors? Do you offer group travel insurance? And what is the easiest group itinerary that you've planned? So stay tuned. There's going to be some wonderful questions. As a reminder, please feel free to post your questions in the comments. You all know we've got the wonderful Abby in there who will be hanging out so that she can catch as many of your questions as possible. If there is time at the end of this panel, I will jump back on. I will get through as many of your questions as I can. We do love comments too. So if you're loving something, if you hear something that's fun, please comment for all of the wonderful speakers here. And if there isn't time for questions at the end, I will send them all through to Emily and we'll make sure that we get you all answers. So without further ado, I'm getting off. And Emily, I hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Shayna. Thank you for the introduction. As Shayna mentioned, my name is Emily Speers. I am the lead group advisor for Levarte Travel. We are a host agency based in Texas, but we have advisors all over the country. As you can see, these lovely ladies are with us from all different locations. I have been doing, I've been a group advisor for 11 years now. So this is really my cup of tea. I like groups.
Emily, I can't hear you.
Oh, can anyone
for
else
some
hear me?
reason?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I love Levarte. Emily rocks.
I got
in the comments too.
Oh, good.
Well,
All right,
no.
I'm leaving again. Bye, everybody.
Rhoda, is your volume up on your device? Well, you can't hear me, so you can't hear me asking.
Oh.
That.
Let me switch to another device.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start the introductions while Rhoda gets situated on the new device. But just as I was saying, this is my 11th year booking group travel, and it's really my cup of tea. So I'll go ahead and start with you, Miss Tamika. Go ahead and introduce yourself, your agency, and tell us about where you're from.
Hi, so I'm Tamika McCrae, and my agency is Live for a Lifetime Travel, where I believe in helping my clients create memories that will live for a lifetime. I've been an agent for 7 years. I can't believe it. I said that out loud. It seems like just yesterday, and it seems like forever at the same time. I'm here from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I've been doing group travel pretty much from the beginning, just naturally evolved. And I'm excited to talk with you guys today.
All right, Miss Dawn, are you ready to introduce yourself? You're muted. Let me see. Yeah, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay, yes. Sorry. Yep. Hi, I'm Dawn Cooper. My travel is Glammy Travel. I have been in the travel, having Glammy Travel, I think for about 8 years now. I didn't start with group travel. I just got into the group travel to make it my focus over the last 3 to 5 years. As you know, family, friends, and getting them to travel and doing groups, and then them referring me to other people. And now I'm starting to get into a little bit more of doing group weddings as well. I'm actually in I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, but I'm actually in Aruba checking out for my group for next year. And so I'm just excited to be here and share my knowledge and answer any questions.
And I love that. I wish I was somewhere tropical, but I'm still in Texas for the time being. Miss Rhoda, are you set up? Can you hear us now?
I can't hear you. I
Okay.
hear everybody else, but not you. So,
So weird.
well, I'll introduce myself.
Yes.
My name is Rhoda Brown Goodwin, and I am with RG Travel Services and recently expanded the arm to Destination Dream Sojourn to focus more on destination weddings and romance travel. I've been in the travel industry since 2010. I did not always do groups. However, in about 6 years in, I decided at that time to start doing destination weddings. And from there, that's where my group focus shifted some. Um, I specialize in romance travel because I like seeing people happy. I like to see it all come together, and I'm in the process from the beginning to the end. So not only do I do the travel portion, but I also do the wedding coordinator and all of the logistics for the wedding.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, for your introduction and welcome. I will go ahead and start with our first question, which is how did you get started with booking groups for your travel business? So, Ms. Tamiko, why don't you go ahead and give us some insight here?
So groups just naturally happens for me, just because I have family that travels. So it may have started off as like a small group, and then I just realized that, hey, it's kind of easier to make X number of dollars when you're booking the same itinerary for multiple people. So I just caught on and naturally evolved into my clients that would go out for a single FIT and then say, well, hey, I want to go somewhere for my birthday. Or I would market that I did a group cruise for Christmas and my family's large. So there was a bunch of us. So it looks like a big group, whereas actually mostly family and friends. So then the interest is built. So people are looking and they're like, hey, that sounds like a good idea. So groups kind of just evolved for me. It wasn't that I set out to do groups. And most of my groups are actually client um, motivated groups. I don't book a lot of groups where I host. Most of my groups come from my clients' requests. Although I just started doing more group travel.
So when you say your groups are motivated more by your clients, you have like events and things that they're celebrating that they're coming to you for, birthdays.
Absolutely. Yep. People are traveling for all types of reasons, girls' trips, birthday celebrations, guys' trips. I have a group of millennials that celebrate everything, and they actually just came back from Barbados for celebrating. One of the girls got her master's degree. So every degree, every birthday, they're celebrating. So it's girls' trips that have just evolved. So most of my clients will reach out. And I think it's because I post that I do a lot of groups. So people will look at me and say, well, hey, if I'm going to do a family reunion or a group trip, then I know this is something that Tamika can handle.
Mm-hmm. Dawn, do you find the same thing with how you got into groups, that it just kind of evolved for you? Or is there something in particular that you set out to do to get started in doing groups?
It did. It evolved. I got into groups starting with getting my family to travel. And of course, I like to travel. So it started with my family traveling and then, like spreading the word of other family members traveling. And then my friends wanting their families to travel and then putting together their group travel as well. And then just trying to enhance each group that I put together for my clients. And then my clients, I have other family members that come to me. So I think mine's is like 75-25, probably, with my, planning my clients' group trips and then my group trips as well. I try to plan at least 2 group trips a year for me as family, and then adults. And I find my friends look forward to those trips as well.
Okay. So I always, not to get sidetracked, but I will just touch base on this really quick. I always get a lot of questions about how to market groups and things like that. And it always goes back to word of mouth is really the best. So it sounds like, just based off of what you two have said so far, that, how your groups have kind of evolved, it really is word of mouth, whether it's coming from you as the advisor, or all the way down that line from your clients, their friends and family, and it just spreads from there. Oh, I was going to ask Rhoda the same question. Let's see.
Oh,
Can you hear me, Rhoda?
Rhoda, she wanted to ask the question, how did your groups evolve?
Okay, hold on. I'm having some technical issues right here. Okay, so I'm sorry. What was the question?
We can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. Tamika, could you ask her, please?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the question was, how did your groups evolve? How did you get into groups?
So what happened was, my very first destination wedding came as a referral from a good friend of mine, and from there, from that destination wedding, then I got about six other referrals. So it happenstance, because they were all referrals, and that's more so how I conduct business, is through referrals, because you have a lot of people that will lead you on. But I need to know exactly what your intentions are. So referrals work well for me, and that's how I've been making it happen since then.
So again, the referrals, the word of mouth. Another thing that I was going to touch on,
This
kind
is
of
not
the
working.
other side of that. I saw a comment come through about having to push out hosting groups. And I wanted to touch on what Tamika said about how she plans, and Dawn, I heard you mention this too, that you guys plan trips for yourself and then invite other people to come on with. So that's a really good idea, or starting point for someone that maybe you don't have someone coming to you asking or seeking you out for a particular celebration or reason to travel. But when you do have one person, even if it's yourself, that's going somewhere, think about how you can build onto that particular trip and get that trip out there to your clients or to potential clients that may want to go along with you.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Let's go off of that. So for someone doing their first group, what type of advice do you have for someone looking to get started in doing groups? Dawn, why don't you go ahead and start?
Okay. So I would say to have, first of all, know the supplier that you're going to use, whoever you're comfortable with. Like for instance, with me, I use ALG Vacations for 90% of my groups. So I would say with the supplier you're working with, definitely do their training so you become familiar with groups. Of course, and definitely have, a step by step of, checklist for yourself. Um, don't I would say don't overthink it too much, whereas you discourage yourself, because just think of it as booking an individual trip, and you can always start off with for instance, not a non-contracted group. I would say maybe make that your first group, as not having to have a contract, and then with five or more rooms, that's how ALG works. And five or more, you can still get a group code, and you can still, have that group. And then once you feel more comfortable, to work yourself up to your the contracted groups. But still, just become familiar with, read your contract, know what you're committing yourself to. Another suggestion is, as well, is to have a contract. If you're going to do a group contract, have that contract with your with your client as well, so they know, you know, their responsibility. Always make your dates 3 weeks ahead of the due date, you know, and that sort of thing, and really stress your terms and conditions as well. I'm sorry if I said too much. Oops, sorry.
Sorry if you can hear my dog barking in the background. I'll try to keep her muted or myself muted. But Tamika, what tip do you have for someone that's just getting started with groups?
I would say start with something you're familiar with. Start with maybe a destination that you're familiar with, that you've already been to. Or if you haven't been there, at least do the research on it. What you don't want to do is learn while you're leading others. So I would say start with something you're comfortable with. I started doing the Caribbean because I could do the Caribbean in my sleep. I've been to almost every island. I love the Caribbean. So I was familiar with what the destinations offered. So when questions arise, I can come across as the expert that I am. So when you're dealing with a group, remember you're going to deal with personalities all over the place and questions from people. So if it's something you're comfortable with, then you'll feel like the star when you're able to rattle off answers or get responses back. It also goes to, like Dawn said, with the supplier. Start with a supplier that you're comfortable with. When you're starting something for the first time, you want to have as much ahead of the game as you possibly can. So start with something that you're comfortable with, start with a destination you're comfortable with, and maybe a supplier that you're comfortable with.
Ms. Rhoda, did you have any tips that you could add on to that for someone who's just getting started in groups?
To be quite honest with you, the only person I can now hear is you. So I didn't hear Dawn or Tamika. But what I will say is that if you're going to get started into groups, make sure that your processes are meticulous and that your organization is on point, because you can get so inundated with all of the things that you need to do to to make sure that the group goes off without a hitch, that if you're not organized and if you don't have your processes down, that you will fumble the ball, and that's not what you want to do.
I agree with that too. So I'll just sum up all three of those tips for someone who's just getting started in doing groups, or maybe it's just your first group and you want to get started. Tamika said, start with a supplier or destination that you're comfortable with. Miss Dawn also said to start with a supplier that you're comfortable with, and also do their training so you get more familiar, you have more under your belt with that knowledge base. And then maybe think about starting with a group that's not contracted if you have the ability to do that, and build onto that group from there until you gain that comfort level to, you know, keep making that group bigger or even move on to a contracted group. Ms. Rhoda said about organization and having your processes being very meticulous. I agree with this 1,000%. And even if you're just new and getting started, you still have somewhat of a process in place already. Dawn mentioned that you can just kind of think about doing a group as one individual reservation, just kind of on a larger scale. So if you think about it that way and you're just thinking about the process that you have for one individual reservation, think about how do you keep that organized from start to finish. For me personally, I really like using spreadsheets or Google Sheets online because that's a live version that's edited. I like to keep all of my clients' information there, their reservation details. You know, you'll find a way and you can build off of what makes your processes more organized. But that is definitely something that you are going to want to have a little bit of a ground base on before you do start your first group.
And I'm gonna add to that to make sure that, you know, we're in the business where people don't read, right? So the important things, I found that people, that needs to be at the top, and then everything else underneath, because after a certain point they're going to stop reading. So if you really want them to know a piece of information about the group or about your process, you need to put that at the top, because after that, yeah, it's, you may as well talk to the walls sometimes. But Put that important stuff at the top.
Yeah, highlight it, bold it, underline it, however you're doing that communication. Make sure that you have the information there, but the important stuff really stands out. Tamika, did you have something that you wanted to add on to that, or do you guys ready to go on to the next question?
No, I think we're ready for the next question.
So our next question is about planning still, but have you ever planned a group with another travel advisor? And if you have, do you recommend it? Do you have any advice going into doing something like that? In particular, planning a group with another travel advisor. Dawn?
I have not. If I was approached, I definitely wouldn't be against it. But you two have to go into knowing, who's going to be responsible for what. It could be a situation whereas the clients you bring in, you get that commission. You have to define how you guys are going to work together. I've never done it and I don't have an issue with doing it, but you just have to decide, how you guys are going to work together. And as far as the commission, or she's giving you a referral bonus or things of that nature. So I've never done it. So I'm not, sure how, exactly the process would, but it would depend on those two individuals and how you going to work the process.
For sure.
But it can definitely be, especially if it's a destination that you are not familiar with, it can be definitely a great learning, a learning and collaboration experience. People definitely do it.
Rhoda, I know you do a lot of the fulfillment for your clients. You do a lot of destination weddings and groups of that nature. So have you ever done a group with another advisor, or is it more so you working with your clients and events, things of that nature?
Well, you have to know your own strengths and weaknesses, right? My weakness is that I don't feel comfortable relinquishing control. With that being said, I have not worked with any advisors, although I would like to. I have to get to the point where I'm comfortable allowing someone else to be in the process, and I haven't gotten there yet. I know myself. I know that if you're not doing things the way that I want them to be done, I'm going to have a problem with it. So, to alleviate any misunderstandings or severing any relationships, I tend to do them by myself only because I know myself best and I know what I want and how I want it done. So that's me being anal. It works well for some, and that's a wonderful thing. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm working on it, but I haven't gotten there just yet.
Hey, know your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Like you did. On the other side of that, it wouldn't benefit you to seek out doing something like that if you know it's not going to work well with what you're doing.
Correct.
So Tamika, have you ever booked a group with another travel advisor?
Actually, and Rhoda's right. You've got to know your strengths and weaknesses. Because I know that I'm not much of a person that likes to say babysit adults, which is why I don't host many hosted group trips. But I did do a group with two other agents, and it actually worked out really well. One of them was very new to the business, so it gave her an opportunity to see how it works. And it was a cruise, it was a group cruise. So, whereas I had all the knowledge of how the actual logistics worked with booking the group and securing the cabins and all of the back office stuff, we were kind of able to leverage our strengths and weaknesses, where she's great at math and accounting and spreadsheets. So she could keep up with all of that information while I handled the logistics of the group, while also training and teaching her how the groups work. So it was a great collaboration. We used each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we had a great group go out. And it worked out well. But like Dawn mentioned, and even for someone that hasn't done it, Dawn knows what was very important was that we laid out all of the rules from the beginning. So these are the expectations. I'm here to, this is a business. We all do this for a business. So while I'm willing to lend my expertise and knowledge to the group, I'm also not willing to lend my commission for the people that I bring in. So, we had to set that up from the beginning. Like, your clients that book are going to be your commissions. The clients I book will be my commissions. There's nothing hard about that. It's very straight to the point. But we did have to lay those things out from the beginning and make it clear that, everybody had to pull some weight. So, it was great. And like Dawn said, it would be perfect for someone that's not done it before. If you want to team up with someone that may have more experience, and you can both help each other.
Mm-hmm. So I have kind of done a group with another agent before. I've always worked in the office for a host agency. So the position is a little bit different. However, I just wanted to say that when I was working with another agent, maybe you're not sure when would be a need to work with, do a group with another advisor, if that's something that you should consider or not. As far as knowing your strengths and weaknesses, that is the first thing, because why are you going to consider having someone help you with this group? And what reason are you going to have someone come in to potentially split your commission? What parts of the booking process are they going to handle? Are they going to handle, like Tamika said, is it going to be like a total even booking process where it's two advisors who both have their own clients that are going to be booking into the group? So that's something that you'll have to consider. Or is it going to be a relationship where the advisor that you're bringing in is going to be a mentor? Or are you going to be looking to be mentored by someone else? So definitely knowing what you're looking for, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and knowing exactly what that process looks like going into it is something that you should definitely have a clear idea of before you decide to work with another travel advisor with the group, if that's something that you feel that you need.
Emily,
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to add something. One reason I do know that there are some people, several agents that work together and join up on group trips. And one of the reasons is it can be like a bucket list destination to where you can get a better rate if you have so many people. You feel like, well, maybe I can't get as many people by myself, but if we join together, the more the merrier.
Mm-hmm.
So then another agent can bring their clients as well and make it a larger group so you can get a better rate. You can get discounted rates depending on the number of occupants for the group. So there's those types of reasons that I do know that some agents do join together. Especially there's been like some South Africa trips. I'm actually doing Ghana in November. I'm not doing it with another agent, but I could have, and then maybe, we would have had a larger group go. So those types of things also lean into why some people will join with another agent for a group.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I was going to say similar, that I think for the most part, the agents that are here on this call, we kind of like to handle everything ourselves. And our groups are a little bit different in that aspect. We, like Rhoda, you're doing more so romance based and wedding based. So you're working with the back end side of that. Tamika, your clients are celebrating. So you're more so, like you said, I wouldn't necessarily bring in another advisor unless you are looking to be mentored or mentor someone else, or it's a group that you're just needing help with, regardless of what that looks like. If it's to get more perks, like Tamika said, and you need more people to do that, you can come in together and kind of make that group larger. So yeah, working with another advisor is definitely doable. It works for some people and it doesn't work for everyone. So you just need to know what you're looking to get out of working with another advisor and just have a clear path forward before you start doing that.
Yep.
Absolutely. Let's see. I'll ask quickly about insurance, just because we've been talking for 30 minutes so far. I think it'll be a quick question. It's a little bit, sticky sometimes that people don't want to talk about insurance. But do you offer group insurance? And is there someone that you lean on or that you have a better partnership with for this program? Tamika?
Real quickly, I love Travel Insured just because they're easy to work with. Their customer service is great, and the commissions come in on time, and they pay well. But I do offer group insurance. I don't think anyone should travel in this day and age without insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely something that I offer.
Rhoda, do you offer group insurance?
I have offered group insurance in the past, and I will offer it to them as an option. But I prefer travel insured because I think it gives you more coverage. And people are, some people travel with a lot of electronics. Some people want certain options included in their insurance package. And so I think that it's up to the individual, but I like to give them an option that you can have this what is offered, let's say by Classic, or you can have travel insured where you can pick and choose, have a la carte items that can be included into your insurance document. So it's I offer it, but I push more for travel insured because it does provide more coverage and gives my clients more options to consider.
Mm-hmm. Dawn, what do you have to add to that about group insurance?
So when I do my groups with ALG, I offer their insurance that they have. If I'm doing a group outside of ALG, I normally was offering them FAE insurance, but after joining Levarte, I'm getting more familiar with travel insured. So I'm just trying to get myself more familiar with that, and then I'll be able to offer them travel insured as well. So I definitely always offer my clients insurance.
Okay. I just see this question come through the chat, so I do want to ask really quick. Have any of you ever made travel insurance a requirement for a group trip for someone that's going to be a part of a group that you're selling?
I'll speak to that. I don't make it a requirement. I highly emphasize that they need to
Yeah.
purchase it because it is an individual decision. I can't sway them one way or the other. I can only give them what I would advise them to do in certain circumstances, but not necessarily that you have to buy it because I'm not putting that requirement on anyone. It's up to you, your personal preference, whether or not you feel the need to protect your trip or not. But when something goes wrong, don't come back to me and say I didn't tell you, and that you have signed the document stating that you accept or decline the travel insurance. Because
Yeah.
I'm always going to come back to that. Well, because people will tell you, well, I wanted it, but you didn't tell me, or I wanted it. And I'm going to be like, no, we're not going to have that conversation today because this is what you signed. So it's not a requirement, but it is highly recommended.
Yes. And then I do agree with that. I'm sure one of you might
Same.
be getting ready to say this, but maybe not a requirement, but definitely have something at that initial booking process that the client has signed whether they've accepted or declined to purchase
Yeah,
that trip.
and your terms it's definitely in my terms and condition, and it states that this trip is non-refundable. All payments are non-refundable unless you purchase your travel protection. And so when you're booking and you're signing, you can, it's not mandatory, but I'm telling you, and you're agreeing that if you don't purchase travel protection, your trip, and you're responsible for everything.
And that's why it's so important for clients to read the terms and conditions
Yep.
because so much is spelled out in it. And that's why I also said that it's important to put those key things at the top of the document in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Because I'm telling you, after page 2, they're not reading. And then they find themselves in the snafu somewhere along the line and want to tell you that you're the reason why they're there.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a lot sometimes, and sometimes it's a battle with some.
I've never made it a requirement personally on any groups that I've done, but I do I do think it should be your job as an advisor to always offer it and get that signature of whether your client has accepted or declined in that first initial booking process. But I have heard of some advisors in the quoting process. So I don't know if I've ever done this with a group before, but just, kind of in a regular quoting process, before you actually get to that point, quote them with the insurance already included in the price. And you can let them know that insurance is included, and then, they can come back to you and say, we'll take that out or upgrade it. Let's change it to this, whatever, have that conversation and move forward. But if that's something that you're seeing as a problem with groups that you currently have, that could be something to consider, maybe include it in the price and then have the conversation, but at the very least, make sure that you have a signature of whether or not your client accepted or declined having travel insurance. Did anyone have any other last comments to say about travel insurance in groups? Okay. I do actually, before I forget, because I thought about it earlier, it does also rely a little bit on who you're booking with. So, there are some vendors that won't let you add on travel insurance, after a certain date or after payments have been made and things like that. So again, if insurance is something that you're questioning, just make sure that you know a little bit from the vendor before you move forward in offering it. But always, at the very least, offer it in the very beginning and then find out the information. Let's see. Have any of you ever planned a group trip that was just a simple itinerary, a simple idea, and it just worked and it was profitable for you? Didn't require a lot of work. It was just something that was put together and it turned into a group and it worked for you.
Let me see.
Me at the simple part.
I know. Fairly.
I think, like with Tamika, with the Caribbean, it's, to me, like that's kind of, and cruises are, simple. Well, I mean,
we're using simple very loosely.
Yeah.
Yes. So I guess the planning part, Emily, I will say, like you said, Dawn, cruises are very simple when it comes to the planning. Because the boat's going to go out certain days. You don't get to choose. So you have select options that you can choose from, and this is when you can go, and this is when we're going to leave.
Exactly.
These are the categories, and these are the rates. So with cruises are definitely one of the easiest groups to do because the rate is the rate. It's locked in for your groups. It can be less if they have certain, qualifications or member status. But for the most part, the rate is the rate. So you don't have to go back and forth with your clients about, oh, I thought that the rate was this. Well, it's not a contracted group, so it's changed when you're doing land. But of course, there's always personalities and people. People are what disqualified me from volunteering to the simple part, because you're always going to have to deal with people. So even with cruises, I have a cruise that I'm working on now, and no matter how many times I've explained the single occupancy and the double occupancy, how they almost cost the same, and the pricing, it just came up again, and someone said, well, can you spell it out? Yes, there's a whole post that I put in the group Facebook about it, but of course I will spell it out again. It's also in the booking form, but yes, I will explain it again. So cruises are simple itineraries for groups. Like if anyone's looking to get their feet wet with a group, cruises are very easy for the most part. Yeah.
I would also say something that is very simple is simply like a family vacation. For instance, I have a family that's going to Clearwater next year, and that's easy peasy Japanesey. It's a matter of just getting the room block quote from the hotel resort, and just putting it together and putting it out there, because I know I'm going to fill the rooms. But that's a way to get your feet wet, because it does require some planning and some process, but it does not require a whole bunch to it. So maybe find a simple somebody, somebody that just wants to do a family vacation, wants to pull everybody together in one location. It doesn't necessarily have to be out of the country, but you can do it, in the continental United States, and get your feet wet that way. So that's something simple and easy. That's something that you really can do with your eyes closed, in my opinion.
Right. I feel like that kind of also goes back to maybe you have a family, just one unit that's looking to go somewhere vacation, and it just takes that simple question of, have you thought about inviting cousins, aunts and uncles, your grandparents, and turning it into a group? Maybe they don't want to go with family and they have a ton of friends that they want to bring instead. That would be my brother's group. So
Rhonda, let me ask you, when you do your US groups and you do your blogs, are you booking directly with the hotel for your blogs, or are you still using a supplier?
No, I booked directly with the hotel, because this is the Wyndham, and the Wyndham is, I did not see it at any of our suppliers,
Yeah,
and
okay.
I can always, put an additional fee on it. But this is with the Wyndham Clearwater down in Clearwater Beach.
Okay.
Dawn, do you have any simple groups that have just been a good go for you? Besides, I know we touched base on cruises really quick, but anything else that's worked for you?
Cruises, and a simple Caribbean trip that you're really familiar with, but in like with any trip now, the simple part is always the booking part. That's really like the easiest part. Getting your quote and you got your rooms and then booking. But then if you're adding on your services with getting them there, most cruises, you recommend everybody to come the day before, securing, a hotel if you want them to come the day before. So it depends upon if you're going to include all of that other information, or you're just going to deal with just doing the cruise and then just doing, the rooms if you're going to, to a destination and you just got a block of rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So and again, as Tamika said, is people.
Yeah. So and maybe if cruises aren't your thing, because I do know some people that it's just not, you could also, keeping on the theme of being simple, you can also find those tour operators that have itineraries that are already planned, and you can turn that into a group too. So
Yep.
if
That's great. Excellent. Yep.
Yeah, like, maybe you're just all out of ideas of what to travel for, or you've traveled yourself and you just you don't have a reason anymore. You're just traveling just to travel. You can always pick a set itinerary that's already done. You don't necessarily have to do any more work than that.
Instead of reinventing the wheel. Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Yep. Right. Absolutely.
So cruises are an option. Again, that's kind of a set itinerary. You could look for some tour operators that already do those set itineraries. And then again, if you're traveling for yourself or you have someone that's going, ask them, have you thought about asking other people to go with you? Turn it into a group. I think those are the simplest ways to go about doing a group. Let's see. We have been chatting for 45 minutes. I have a couple of questions left over, but we could also move to open it up to questions. Let's see.
Hi, it's totally up to you. I actually have a few questions I think our audience would love.
Okay, sure.
But you have more questions, feel free.
Let's open it up to questions.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. Well, I do actually have a question from the audience. With the sharing of group and another travel advisor, how do you keep all of your clients engaged, or do you keep things separate with the group?
I think I'm the only one that's done it. What we decided to do was we actually came up with a combined name and created a Facebook page and invited everyone to the Facebook group. So we would post in the Facebook group frequently, just reminders or small tips or fun stuff, things about the destination. You want to keep them engaged. So every week or so, every few days, depending on how close we were getting to the trip, we would packing ideas or things to look forward to, the destination, payment reminders, and we all contributed to the group, to the Facebook group.
I love that. I love the simplicity of bringing everything together, and where I like efficiencies. So that for me is a really great thing, and everybody uses Facebook. So you actually kind of lead me into my question that I have for you all, which is about more efficiencies. So with group travel and with all the tech tools that are out there, also, as we're heading into our Hardwired and our big travel agency tech week next week, I would love to know from each of you what tools, sorry, my question's written on the other screen, hence why I'm looking there. But what tools you use to help manage your group. So as I said, we're coming into Hardwired. We're focusing on travel tech for advisors. I'd love to know, what do you use to help create organization and efficiency? Any of the tools that you use that you would love to share with the audience to help them?
Go ahead.
Jump in. Yeah.
Oh, I'll go first. I use Travel Joy.
Mm-hmm.
I use Travelify to send out the electronic itineraries.
Mm-hmm.
I use Claude AI, as well as Voyager Social to draft correspondence from time to time.
Mhm.
And I am from the old paper school, so I need to touch and feel. So I also use paper to some degree and write 999 notes and to-do lists. So
I love me a good to-do list. I'm literally sitting here with my paper, with my to-do list. So I hear you for sure. I am a big tech girl though. So maybe Dawn, are there any tools that you use that you find super helpful specifically for groups?
I definitely use Travel Joy and their automated system with reminders, and frequently. I think a great thing I started to do now as well is like creating a WhatsApp group for the group, so you can shoot off a text message. They're actually coming up with now, they're introducing something where you could do emails and more text messaging. I think they're bringing out something where you can do like text messaging from Travel Joy, or something like that. And, you use, AI as well. But I really depend on my organization, and you could kind of export every week. I put a reminder to export my Travel Joy, listing, as well as the listing from my supplier. But I was trying to get used to using Travelify, except for just my itineraries, but I got overwhelmed, and it was just like, I got to master one of these. And so yeah, that's kind of where I am.
No, I think you make a really great point. There are so many wonderful tools out there, especially kind of coming out of COVID, that really focus on what travel advisors need. It's not just a tool that you can use to manage projects. These tools have become a lot more specific to what you all do, which is a beautiful thing to see. But you don't need to use every tool.
Right.
And I like that, learn one, see what it does for you, but also a lot of these tools connect to each other too. So if one does something, you can have it speak to the other. And that's something that we'll be talking about. Both Travel Joy and Travify will actually be speaking at our event next week. So I love that we've already brought them up.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. Tamika, what about you? Is there anything that you use that you find incredibly helpful, or any tools that kind of streamline your processes?
The same that I don't want to repeat, but yeah, Travefy. I love that Travefy is integrated where we can upload our itineraries from
Yeah.
most of our suppliers.
Mhm.
So it works out great. And just something different is social media. Like I absolutely recommend all of my groups to create a Facebook group.
Mhm.
So even if it's a family reunion, I told them, let's create a new group just for this trip and all the family members, invite them. This way I can share information once with everyone and people can ask questions. And if you have a question, well, I can answer it, but now I've answered it for 5 people as opposed to responding to 5 separate emails. And it's also fun and engagement because, like you said, most people at a certain age, we're on Facebook. So we're there scrolling anyway. So you might as well find out information about your trip while you're there.
Yeah, and it's always good too. I find with those groups, it's easier to scroll back to things to see, oh yeah, here's this versus going through your slew of emails. If anyone's ever been into my inbox or anybody else's inbox, I,
Absolutely.
yeah, I like that a lot. Um, I do have another question for you all that I think our audience would be interested in, um, which is with groups, and we've done a lot of with our annual report. We have done a lot of research, and we've also spoken to quite a few of the consortium as well, where anywhere from 20 to 25% of the business now is groups, and that's incredibly exciting. Um, and so, with your groups, do you find that there are 1 to 2 questions that your clients always ask, or something you always find that you have to cover? So, I know travel insurance is obviously something that they would all ask about whether they choose to move forward with it or not. But do you find that there are questions that you always get asked by each group so that our audience can know things that they should be prepared for from the outset? So maybe I'll start with Dawn on this one.
Always as I besides, the travel insurance final payment date all the time. You have
That's great. We asked that question.
most people think they can pay for their trip like the day. Well, why is it due so early? Like, you're stressing. It's 90 days before, and I make it 3 weeks before that date, so that's why you constantly getting out there the reminders, and everything else like that. And it's, oh, I thought I said this, or I thought, it's definitely the final payment. And I guess, and an option if you want to deal with it as well is can we get a group flight?
Those are great. The group flight, I know when my family used to all travel, that was something we always asked. I think you made a really great point that may have been missed by the audience, is that you make your payment due date 3 weeks prior to when the supplier requires it. And I think that that's incredibly important. You give yourself some leeway. I know that I just asked, I'm doing a group trip. I'm going gorilla trekking in Uganda at the end of the year. And I literally a week ago asked, so when's my final payment due? So, and I just paid it. It's due in 2 weeks. I'm an early bird, so I've already paid it. But those are great questions. Rhoda, anything that you find you always get asked by your group clients?
Well, I can't emphasize enough about the final payment. The other thing that I get asked a lot about is, well, why is your fee so high? I went to so and so and found the rate here, and it's much cheaper. Can you
Match.
do a price match? What? Things like that. Or why do I have to stay this number of nights? I don't want to stay this number of nights. I only want to stay this number of nights. And why do I have to book with you? Why can't I just do it on my own? What is the benefit of booking with the travel advisor? Things like that.
Yeah, I think the benefit of booking with the travel advisor is something that everyone should have prepared, whether it's a group trip or something else. You should have this is what a travel advisor brings to you. So yeah, but yes, that question definitely gets asked. Tamika, anything you want to add?
Real quick, a lot of my groups, they'll always ask, and sometimes they're at the airport and they're like, do I have a ride to the hotel? They'll ask about transfers. And transfers are included. I include transfers. I only book international travel. So I include transfers always, 100% of the time, because I don't want my clients in the middle of a country they've never been to trying to get an Uber or a Lyft. Or the 5,000 people that are yelling at them when they walk into the terminal with signs trying to get them to get into their vehicles. So no matter how many times I explain the transfers are included and the information is there about the transfer company, they always still ask about the transfers.
Yeah.
I think something else, if I can add, I think something else and something else that you have to be clear with your clients with is letting them know, and even putting in your terms and your conditions, you do not book for people that book outside your group. Because they will try and sneak those people in. Oh, you know, can such and such book, can you get them the transfers? No, such and such wants to be, okay, well, they have to pay my fee. There's a fee. Like, don't, and you know, stress them, like, if we have a group and we have the group booking page, and then I might do a separate booking page for my excursions. Don't send my link to people that booked outside of my group. If they want to book, they have to pay my fee, and they're not paying the fee that the excursion is. They're paying us a different fee. So, I mean, every group, they do try to sneak people in that have booked, you know, outside the group. And that's not my, I specifically told you, you know, my services, and you know, you just have to stand your ground with that, because they consistently would try to sneak people in that booked outside. Oh, they booked directly with the hotel. Okay, well, then they're not included.
Yeah. I think that that's a fantastic point, and something that you put in your terms and conditions. Absolutely. But also, it reminds everyone here, know your value.
Yes.
Right? You brought value. You brought value to this group. There's a reason that you have the fees that you do. You know, I know the value. 30 of us used to go away every year on a cruise. We had a travel advisor who did the whole thing for my whole family as I was growing up. And we had one person we could go to for everything. It was beautiful, right? It just made things so simple and easy. So if anyone actually wanted to come with us, we would say, you either book with our advisor or good luck to you. Was kind of our family is very humorous, and we're just like, well, good luck making it there. So yeah, we've got 3 minutes. I've got Judy, who's actually got a couple questions, but I'm going to start with one of them. I think we'll only make it to that one, Judy, but we'll send your other one around for sure. So I think, Dawn, you had mentioned arranging group flights. She said, it sounds fun, but difficult. Can you tell us a little bit more about group flights for your groups?
So the issue with the group flight, so you can either do it through the supplier or directly with the airlines. The issue with dealing with directly with the airline is if you're doing it separately, is processing the payments. You have to incorporate that fee because of processing, if you're going to be processing the payment, versus if you're doing it with the supplier, it's easier. It's a lot easier. But you know, it can be, but again, once again, you're committing yourself to a certain number of seats on that flight. And so if anyone cancels that seat, you're not going to get your deposit back. But I mean, as long as you charge them the deposit and they paid the deposit, you know, it's not super difficult. It's just an additional thing that you're having to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just offer, before you do a group flight, if the flight is available at the time of the group, just offer, you know, like, I can price it with the flight and I can price it without the flight. Offer them that. And but that usually happens when I book a group a year and a half out. And then when the flights are available is when they want the group flight. And it still can be added on with the supplier that you're using.
Yeah. And I think that, again, you've made another great point where flights are not necessarily available when you start booking the group. I think flights only become available, 11 months out? And even then,
some 10.
Yeah. And that might not even be the best time to book them anyways.
Exactly.
But we have come to the hour. Thank you everybody for being here. If there are any additional questions, please post them in the comments. We will grab them. We will send them to Emily and the Levarte team. Thank you so much for being here. I love talking about group travel. So this was such a joy. For everyone here, this will live live within our YouTube channel, so you can always come back and watch. Thank you, Judy. And thank you to everyone here. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Come join us next week to learn more about travel tech. It is absolutely complimentary to register and to join, and you can watch what you'd like. We're 4 days long, lots going on. Demo day is Friday, so if you want to see 14 of the suppliers back to back to back, definitely come and join us, but it's completely complimentary to you all. So
did you put the link in there? Because I definitely want to.
Yes, we did, but I'll send it around to you. Everyone who's on the webinar, stick around and I'll send it. Everybody else, we're going to take off from going live, but thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.